Welcome back to my garden. Just thought I'd take advantage of a little lull in the proceedings of the day to make a quick film. Then I'll be off to the hub of Paripuera to watch the ceremonial switching on of the Christmas lights. Not just the Christmas tree, but also my recently welded nativity scene, which is happily positioned in the local town square. So that's very exciting, and I've got just enough time to make a video, and so here we are. I've been talking about leading extraordinary lives and how it's something we can all do. And kind of sticking with that theme, over the last few weeks I've come across yet another rabbit hole-ish type of YouTube channel that I'm rather enjoying, Mr Pifflesticks. Pifflesticks, an interesting made-up word, a sort of contraction of coming together of piffle and fiddlesticks. Always did like that word, piffle. And fiddlesticks is a nice way of exclaiming when something doesn't go quite according to plan. And Benjamin of the channel Pifflesticks has taken a year off work. Well, I think he's taking, the plan really is to take a life off work. He's 31, in a relationship, but I don't think he has children, so but his partner is very supportive. He saved up and just stopped doing a conventional job to go in pursuit of something that would allow him to get up in the morning and go to work with a spring in the step, which, whilst he didn't not enjoy his jobs before, was something that seemed to be a little lacking in his life. And he's found it in chess, so he's taking a year to play chess full-time and see where that will get him, and chronicle the journey on YouTube. Now, of course, this, obviously, if you know anything about me, this resonates tremendously with me. It's a sort of parallel, if not similar path to one I'm following. I too have decided that I'm not going to do regular work ever again. But my chess is really the sort of sideline to my life in a new career, being a professional artist. And whereas he's built up savings for a life out of conventional employment, I guess I took the plan, having tried that road when I opened the bar, leaving conventional employment for an adventure, and seeing that it lasted a year but no more. This time round I took the FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early movement approach, which is not just live frugally for the year, but have some sort of savings plan that will allow you sufficient passive income to basically survive without your new life actually having to pay for itself. So I have my apartment in Sao Paulo, and the rent from the apartment, I can just about get by. I don't think Benjamin, Mr Pifflesticks, is quite in that position. And I think his plan, it sounds like, it's probably his hope, is that the content that he's producing around this activity will prove to be sufficient to eventually provide some sort of income. And I think there's every chance it will be. I also get the impression that perhaps, having explored chess, he might branch out into taking something else up for a year or two. Perhaps does chess not for a year, but for a few years, and then who knows, perhaps picks up a musical instrument. I don't know. He's only in the first few weeks. I think he started almost exactly a month ago. So it's still early days. And interesting to see the progress he's making. The journey that he's going on. And I've found myself really empathizing with a lot of the challenges he's faced. I think one of the difficulties is, at the beginning, he seemed to suggest, well, I'm taking a year off to become, to live like a chess professional, and I'll work 8 hours a day. And it's not that physically you can't work 8 hours a day, because it's what he would have been doing before in some of his jobs. But it's simply that it would be like training sport for 8 hours a day. You really need to have spent a long, long time building up the sort of prerequisite background physical stamina to do something for 8 hours a day. And that's true with probably most things that we undertake. When I became a school teacher, it was amazing how exhausted you felt at the end of the day, the beginning of your career, and how you kind of eventually managed to cope. Whether it was partly because you'd built up interesting strategies for dealing with the problems that you were facing. You knew what to take seriously and what to let slide by. How to manage with the stresses and strains. But also your body becomes accustomed to things. Our bodies become accustomed to pretty much everything. I mean, I've found as COVID and life moved on, I found myself, and I'll be quite blunt, drinking far less than I used to. I became very much an amateur beer drinker, and whereas once I could merrily quaff pint after pint, and I'm not saying it left me unscathed, untouched. No, it had an effect, but I managed. And now, my Friday evenings, tonight for that matter, I'll have a couple of bottles of beer, and that'll be quite enough. I'll be at a sort of personal limit, and I never imagined myself saying that. Well, not since I was about 15 or 14. So there we are. Things move on, and we become accustomed to stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, and eventually we become unaccustomed to it, out of practice, so to speak. So Pifflesticks need to get used to build up to the kind of training necessary. He also has a very ambitious goal. His main goal is, as he says, to enjoy playing chess and learn a lot. But he has stated aims to become a very strong player over the course of 1 year. And it will be interesting to see just how much he does improve. Because I feel that it's something you need to grow into there too. That part of your development, whether it's playing chess or any other activity, is acquiring new knowledge and skill. But also you need to internalize that, and that requires time. I guess it's like learning new stuff to enable those memories to and thought process to become bedded in. We need a decent night's sleep, and you need so many decent nights' sleep to allow you to build up the sort of muscle, mental memory required to do anything, certainly playing chess. So I think there is perhaps some sort of limit on how much you can improve in a year, but it'll be interesting to see how this pans out for him. I actually reached out to him via his email. I've also replied, or commented rather, on a number of his videos, and he's promptly replied to those. He hasn't replied to my email. Not sure if that's because he's not really that engaged with email. That most of his contact with people is via his channel. Or perhaps it's simply a case that I need to take a subtle hint, that he replies quickly to YouTube comments because he's a YouTuber, and even though I made what I think is quite an interesting proposal, offer to him, he's not that interested and simply has too much on his plate and consequently hasn't replied. I certainly don't think it's rudeness, because he seems like a really top bloke. So, whatever the reason, we'll see what happens. It's interesting that although as yet he only has a subscriber list in the hundreds, he is making waves within the chess community. He has actually received the offer of free coaching from two of the world's leading online coaches. So this is a very interesting one, and I thought I'd talk about it a little because, well, it's chess and I'm interested in chess, and you might be listening to this thinking, I'm not interested in chess at all. But whatever you are interested in, there's another way of engaging with it. It may require you to make quite radical decisions. He has made a huge decision, and in his last or penultimate video, he spoke about his underlying motivation, which was simply to find something that he loved doing, to spend most of his time doing it, rather than a job which he maybe didn't actively dislike, but didn't really tick all the boxes. And his argument is that the simple measure is, does this thing kind of push me into a flow state? And I think that's a fantastic takeaway that all of us can benefit from. What we spend our day principally doing, do we enter into that most hallowed of states, flow, where we lose sense of time, where we become totally engaged at one with the task at hand? Even if it's something that maybe we think we don't particularly enjoy, and yet if on reflection we find that we are engaged in a very profound sort of way, maybe it's a much better activity than we think, that we need to simply reconsider how much we're enjoying it or the way in which we're enjoying it. But if you find yourself spending the whole day kind of looking at the clock, waiting for it to tick down to 5 or 6 or 8 o'clock or whatever the Cinderella hour might be for you, and then dashing off to the pub, well, it's probably time to, over the festive season, reconsider how you spend your time. Perhaps you say, well, I have, and I know what I want to do, but it's not what I can do right now. If you find yourself in that position, do what Benjamin Pifflesticks did. Think about a long-term plan and start building up a little bit of financial reserve, a little bit of fat stored for the cold, harsh winter, and plan your escape. Anyway, that's it for this week. As always, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I do hope as the year winds down that your life is filled with joy, that all is well, and until next week, from sunny Brazil,